Welcome to Inspire Campfire, a podcast where ordinary people tell their stories of extraordinary adventure. These are campfire stories meant to inspire the rest of us to light the fire within, get outside, follow our dreams, and return to tell our own stories. Ready? Let's strike the match.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Scott Wurzbacher. Recently, I traveled with a group of 15 to Nepal for a once-in-a-lifetime trek to Mount Everest Base Camp. Over 12 days, we hiked through the Himalayas alongside the incredible Paralympic gold medalist Karen Dark, facing challenges, solving problems, and leaning in to moments of awe, abundance, and magic. Now, back from this epic journey, I'm kicking off a 3-part series about our adventure. In today's episode, the first of the series, I'm joined by Olga Bak, a friend and advisor to Travel Nepal Himalayas Treks, the local guide company that helped us navigate the mountains, reach base camp, and return safely. The question we'll explore is, why would anyone choose an adventure like this in the first place? Knowing that it means facing discomfort, struggle, and challenge. In future episodes, you'll hear from other members of our group, including a special conversation with Karen Dark. Today, Olga helps us set the stage with insights into Nepal, the Himalayas, and the incredible team at Travel Nepal Himalayas Treks who made this journey possible. Olga, welcome to the campfire.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I'm very excited and very grateful to be here. Thank you.
Olga, I'm so excited. I have like a huge smile on my face right now. You know, I'm looking at the calendar and it is basically a month since we were at Everest Base Camp. And I'm so excited to just go back there for a little while today during this conversation. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Let's just start with Travel Nepal Himalayas Treks. Can you tell us a little bit about the organization and your connection to it?
So Travel Nepal Himalayas Treks is the company based in Kathmandu, in Tamil, in Nepal. It's run by a qualified mountain and licensed mountain guide, Badri, who has years and years under his belt of guiding groups through a variety of different treks in the Himalayas. I remember myself taking my 5-year-old daughter and be under his guidance, and we were absolutely fine. And I think 2 or 3 years ago, he also celebrated one of his clients' 80th birthday on Annapurna Base Camp. So his experience is incredible. And he never, ever had to call a helicopter or anything like that. Everyone is safe and beautifully looked after.
Yeah, it's amazing. So what is your connection to Travel Nepal Himalayas Treks?
So it all started quite a few years ago now. I've met Badri for the first time in 2013 when I myself was a part of the group. It was a group of girls from Poland. And we decided to do Langtang Valley. And Badri was our guide at the time. And what struck me was just his dedication to every single one of us. I mean, we were so well looked after. We were so safe. And he was so willing of sharing his knowledge about the mountains, you know, helping us with little things like if someone was uncomfortable, he was just there in a split second, solving the problem, helping us to feel as comfortable as possible. Including, I do remember one day when one of the girls didn't feel very well and Badri was literally holding her hand and walked step by step slowly through a whole journey until she got safely to our next accommodation. And we just connected, you know, and by the end of the Langtang Valley, he had a proposition for us. If we wanted to see the sunrise on Kanjing Ri, which is over 4,000 meters high peak, he said to us, just if you want to come, meet me here in a dining room at 3:00 at night, and I will show you one of the most beautiful shows you've ever seen in your life. And I was the only one there at 3:00.
Oh, nice. Okay, you were the brave one.
Yes. And, you know, I will never forget this moment when we had a little cup of tea and, you know, it wasn't time for breakfast. It was 3:00 in the morning and we knew that we had to dash in order to be there before the sun But I do remember that moment when we opened the door of the shelter, and the sky was just decorated with millions of stars. And because we were already so high up, it really did feel like we could just reach and grab them like apples from a trees, And we went step by step, and a few of the porters joined us as well. For me, it was a bit of a challenge, obviously, but boys were much stronger, much better. So I said to them, guys, if I've missed the sunrise, this is my camera, go and get the pictures for me. And they were absolutely convinced that I will make it. And I did make it. I was out of breath. And eventually, the sunrise started, and one of the boys just tapped me in my shoulder and he said, turn around. And when I turned around, even now I'm getting emotional. It was the most beautiful show you can possibly imagine. The sun started, all the summit started to be light up, and it was very, very special moment. And then I knew I've got friends here. I mean, sharing moments like this, it really connected with us. And that was on my brother's birthday, just to top it up with a little cherry on top of the cake. So I was shouting, Peter, happy birthday, wherever you are.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you had this amazing experience with Badri as your guide, but you guys have developed a friendship and you've become sort of almost an advisor to Travel Nepal Himalayas treks.
Yes, that's right. So on the same trek in Langtang Valley, walking back down, we at some point we were passing by this building which had closed windows, closed doors. And I've asked Badri, what is it? What is this building? And he said, well, it's a school. And I am a teacher. So straight away I said, well, if this is a school, why there are no children, why there are no teachers? And he said, because this is the problem. We don't have qualified people. We don't have teachers. So immediately in my head, I was thinking, how can I help? What can we do here? Can we do a fundraising? Can we do something to get those children in school? And so we kept talking about it. And eventually Badri said, look, in Langtang Valley, those people here, at least they have some tourism. There is some movement going on. But if you really want to help, I can show you a proper rural places in Nepal where nobody recognizes them. And there are people who need proper help. And from that little seed he put in my head, I went back to the UK where I used to live at the time. And I started to grow this circle of people who were willing to help. And I was sharing this story. I was doing the presentations, talking to people. And we managed, over the year, it took me only one school year to collect enough money to then go back to Nepal with my daughter at the time, 5 years of age, and my best friend. And we bought loads of stuff in Kathmandu for this school. We bought volleyball equipment, books, pens, pencils, you name it. And then we went on a coach from Kathmandu to Pokhara to then get off in the middle of nowhere. I still remember the expression of some tourists looking at us, thinking, what are you doing, girls? We are nowhere near in a civilization, and it's two of you with a little child. What are you doing? But it was absolutely fine. Badri's cousins and uncles came down to welcome us as they are just amazing people. They took all the equipment on their backs as they do. And after 8 hours of walking, we reached his home, his mother village called Fujel. Wow. And that was just an amazing experience. We lived with the local people. We stayed there for nearly 2 weeks. We welcomed the school, we gave all the gifts. Children were gravitating to Badri's house. I've met his parents and they wanted to come to see a white person. They've never seen a white person in their life, So it was something amazing. It really was very, very special. And those nights, very often there was no electricity, or if there was electricity, it was just for a few minutes in the evening. So we were based in a jungle, and in the evenings you had millions of those little fire bugs, those little flies, which they light with their little bottoms.
Yeah.
And I felt like a little fairy in a fairyland. It was incredible.
Wow. Oh man. So you clearly literally caught the bug. Well, actually metaphorically and literally, but caught the bug that is Nepal and just became enamored with it. And you and Badri developed this relationship, and again, helping kind of advise and guide him with building his business, which is Travel Nepal Himalayas treks.
Travel Nepal Himalayas, yes. When, over the years, when Badri felt strong enough to stand on his own feet, it was no brainer for me when he asked for my help, shall we just do it? Would you help me? Well, there was only one answer, of course I will help you. And since the last few years, we're just trying. We're holding hands together. We're looking in the same direction. He calls me Didi. Didi in Nepalese is sister. So yeah, he's my brother, and we're just trying to do our best. And I think we're doing a good job.
I love it. Well, I feel like I too can say he's my brother now as well.
Yeah.
After having spent the 16 days with him, he's amazing. And we're going to come back and talk about Badri, the owner and the head guide and the magic maker in a little bit. But I want to, for listeners, as this is sort of an introduction to a 3-part series on our whole experience, I kind of want to set the stage for listeners on the place that we went to and everything that sort of surrounds it. So if we can, I would like to talk a little bit about Nepal, and we'll start sort of big to bring listeners that may not be familiar in, and then we'll kind of pare down a little bit. But let's just start with Nepal. I know this sounds obvious, but where is it?
So Nepal is this not very big country, sandwiched in between north part of India and China, or Tibet, if you like, because Tibet is now, there is a political disturbances. And for such I call it a cucumber because it's quite long and quite narrow in shape. And it really isn't any significant country in Asia, but for such a small place, it's got so much to offer. The diversity is incredible. And in just a very small space, you can go from the lowland where in south of Nepal, you can visit jungle really and see rhinos and go into like tropical type of climate where it's very hot and quite humid. And then a few hours later, if you drive up north, you are in a completely different scenario. You're in the Himalayas, you're in the mountains where you see the snow-captured peaks. And the lifestyle of those people from up north and down south is very different. You can, driving through Nepal, you see the differences in the agriculture, in the way of living, really, until you get to the highlands, to the Himalayas. Yes.
Oh, it's such a beautiful place. What about the culture of Nepal? Is it possible to sort of explain the overall culture? How regionalized is the culture, maybe too, is another question.
Scott, I think this is what makes Nepal outstanding country, probably in the world. I don't know. But what I love about that place is that they have 120 ethnic groups in this little space called Nepal. They have 2 main religions, Hinduism and Buddhism. There are some others as well. There are some Muslims, there is Christianity, there are some other religions. They speak around 100 different languages in that country. Okay? So the diversity is incredible, yet they all respect each other. They share their views, the point of views, the life of living. That you've got temples where in one building you could have symbols of all different religions. And it doesn't matter. Nobody will ask you whether you are Hindu or whether you're Buddhist. You are always welcome, and you can do your prayers and nobody will judge you or point at you. It's just incredibly welcoming and very tolerant type to approach life, because that's what's more important to them. They're not looking for labels. They're not that interested really of how you worship or who is your God, as long as you live with some respect, with balance, with seeing people as partners, really, as brothers and sisters. That's where it comes from. We are all we all connected. We can't live without each other. And I just love that approach.
Hey everyone, it's Scott here. This podcast is a passion project for me because I absolutely love adventure. And it's thanks to the effort of my residential real estate team here in Charlotte, North Carolina, that many of you know as the W Realty Group, that this podcast gets funded. This awesome group of people have unmatched levels of competence and caring for our clients. If you know of anyone looking to buy or sell a home, our team serves the Charlotte, North Carolina market, but we can also help you find an agent anywhere throughout the US or Canada through our highly connected network. When you support our real estate business, you are also supporting this podcast. Thanks for listening, and thanks for your referrals. You're touching on a couple of things like the spirituality of the country and also the people. I think maybe let's talk about both, but let's talk about the people. I think one of the things that I noticed is, so a few things. Obviously, I spent a little bit of time in Kathmandu and then a lot of time in the Himalayas and the valleys, and, very, very different. Kathmandu, I'm just going to say, was crazy. Like, in terms of just like speed. I mean, I've been all around the US and in some European countries and seen traffic and, but in Kathmandu, it's just, all little cars, scooters, motorbikes, but like it from my perspective, it's like there's no traffic rules or anything. It's just everybody's out for themselves. And it was insane, the amount of like traffic and movement and having to be like alert and paying attention. Yet at the same time, with all of that craziness and all that sort of fighting for space on the road, like I never felt unsafe with any of the people just felt very kind and very, I just felt like everybody was very welcoming and just very kind and wanting to help and smiling and just very pleasant people.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm curious, that was my perspective in the short time that I was there, but I'd love for you to kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Kathmandu, like any other big city in the world, is busy. And, it's just a little part of being a capital of the Nepal, just a little part of the whole country. But you are absolutely right. It is crazy is the word to describe that city. You've got colors there, you've got music, you've got life. If you in Kathmandu during any of their religious festivals, it's one big party. It's dancing, it's singing, it's eating beautiful food, it's children being beautifully dressed up, the colors of saris is just incredible. But if it comes to traffic, I don't know if you've noticed, Scott, but it's only tourists who panic.
They're not worried about it. They're just used to it. They just go. It's crazy.
Exactly. They walk slowly. They don't panic. They don't run across the road. They just keep moving. But if the tour, you can see who's been for the first time in Kathmandu because they were very big eyes. And
yeah, really, really beautiful people. And then that's not even, we'll get into that a little bit more, but the people that we met, like outside of the city and in the Khumbu region and in the Himalayas. Just completely different environment.
Yes.
But you touched on the spirituality a little bit. And I guess I have to point out, like, you can't go to that region. You can't travel through the Himalayas or even Nepal without seeing these bright colors, these prayer flags that you see everywhere. What's the significance of the prayer flags? And maybe can you just touch on sort of the spirituality of the region?
So spirituality of Nepal, it's the lifestyle. It's who they are. Gods, they're surrounded with their gods, with their beliefs. And even, when Nepali person greets you with a namaste, they always look you in your eyes. And that namaste means that I welcome the God in you. Mm. So even with a little hello, there is already a message sent with a lot of respect. The flags, they are called praying flags. That comes from a Buddhist religion. And each color represents a different source. So I hope I'm absolutely correct here. The white one represents air. The red one represents fire. The green one is all the trees and grass and the plants. The yellow one is the sun. And the blue one is the water. Because for any Nepali person, the whole environment is holy. Okay, the rivers have got their significance and the plants are also sacred and the mountains, everything has got its meaning. And that's why they are so beautifully connected with who they are as human beings. They know exactly that they are of the nature surrounding them. And that's another wonderful approach to life, in my eyes at least.
I love that. Olga, I'm getting chills right now. A couple things. So the word namaste. It's such a beautiful word. And thank you so much for just giving us that brief definition. Here in the West, in the US, yoga is a big thing. And, we go to yoga classes and, people say the word namaste. And now that I've been to Nepal and it's used everywhere. The little children, the little 5-year-old kids along the trail, they're so cute. And you walk by and they put their hands up together and they say namaste. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful word. And it feels so much more rich and deep to me personally now, like that I've been there. Like, it's just such a beautiful word. I honor the God in you. I honor the light in you. It's such a beautiful word.
But also, if you approach a Nepali person, or if you would like to visit them in their house, they feel honored. They've got this little saying that, the guest at home is a god at home. That's why they just give you their all heart on the scarves. It's just, it's something very special. You don't see it around the world as much as you do in Nepal.
Yeah. So Olga, we've been planning this trip for over a year. And the group, we had a WhatsApp chat and we had some Zoom calls where we got together. And at some point along the way, maybe 2 months before, 3 months before, something like that, you gave a mic drop on WhatsApp. I was blown away. You said Nepal, and then you said Nepal is never ending peace and love. And I was like, that was a mic drop for me. I was like, oh my goodness, this is what I'm getting ready to go walk into. I mean, talk about that. Like, first of all, that I love that little phrase. It's just perfect. But talk about that.
Yeah, so I remember it was my Valentine message for all of you guys.
Yeah,
never ending peace and
right.
love. That's what it was. Yes, yes. And although it's not official, that little phrase really describes Nepal. I think many people who do go to Nepal for the first time, majority of people, they go for the mountains. But before they leave, they change their mind. And actually, it is the people, and this loving approach to life is what they will take home with them, And from my perspective, I always hope that this little message, they will carry that with wherever they came from, that little seed from Nepal, that little part of that never-ending peace and love will go with them even when they leave the country, that they will take it home. Yes.
I love it. Thank you. So, not every place that, there's so much good, but obviously Nepal also has its challenges. And I want to talk about a couple of things too, just to kind of bring all facets. And also a clarification, and we'll start with the clarification. I want to talk about the political environment, if you could talk a little bit about that. But also Nepal borders with Tibet. And there may be, some misunderstanding or I'm not sure if I fully understand kind of the differences between like what's going on in Tibet, what's going on in Nepal, and sort of the political situation that's going on. I just wonder if you could kind of talk about that a little bit.
So, political scene of Nepal has been disturbed, and it all started in 2008 when, until then, there was a monarchy in Nepal. Okay, and they had a royal family. That family, a lot of members of this royal family has been killed, and I think until now they don't know who has done. The reason why they finished the monarchy, they didn't want the monarchy in place anymore, is because they were fighting for democracy. And at the moment, for the last 10 years, Nepal is the Federal Democratic Republic. However, it's a little bit of a rocky road. Okay, they've got the ups and downs. Government is not solid. It changes a lot. The politicians, they don't always serve the way they should really. But what happened in Tibet? Tibet used to be obviously integral part of Nepal, but sadly at the moment, they've got even different political influences from China. So it was China who overtook Tibet, and China is now calling it as their part of their country. And that you can see massive influences from China around Tibet. It changes from this secluded, isolated place, which was very highly spiritually cultured, into just another, I don't want to use the wrong word, Scott, but the access to Tibet, if you like, to Lhasa is a lot easier now because of the roads, and you can get there with coaches and stuff like. And the whole character of the place has changed a little bit. Also, in Nepal, it's a lot more freedom for people to express their religions, their traditions, their thoughts. Tibet, sadly, is a lot more restricted. They have to be very careful with what they say, what they do, what they believe. A lot of that freedom has been taken away from those people. So it's a very sad story, because it was like a center of free spirituality, and now it's a little bit, captured with Chinese hen.
I appreciate that. And I'm going to caveat this because I don't think there was a single political conversation that happened in our group the entire time we were on our trip. So that's not something that's generally talked about. But I just, for purposes of just kind of bringing everything in, I want to help everybody kind of understand. I want to talk about nature and the environment as it relates to Nepal. Obviously, big difference between Kathmandu and being out in the valley. But what kind of nature can people expect, and what are some of the environmental effects that are going on in Nepal right now?
So, like I said before, Scott, for such a biodiversity is incredible. Like I said, from the lowland, when you go through jungles and you can see animals like rhinos and elephants, because elephants they use there quite commonly. The hundreds and hundreds of species of birds you can see as well on a trail. When you go higher up, you can see monkeys on the trees. Even I don't know if you were lucky on Everest Base Camp, but on many you can see them on the trees just jumping. In
Kathmandu, not on Everest, but we saw lots of monkeys.
There's a monkey temple.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And if you're really, really lucky, you may see a snow leopard somewhere high in the mountains, but they are clever. They're very good in hiding themselves. But I think Nepal, because of this, it's a very unique country around the world as well. The beauty of this country is that, like I said, the whole environment is people's part of their life, and amazing respect to their environment is something that we should really learn from them. However, saying this, like everywhere in the world, the global climate change is affecting them, and you can see it on the glaciers areas, the Everest Base Camp and other treks where it used to be a lot more covered in snow or ice. At the moment, sometimes even Everest Base Camp is just gray. Sometimes there are periods of time in the year where there is no snow, and that's quite sad, really. They do also struggle with deforestation. There is a strong conversation. So in many parts of the Himalayas, the government put the regions of national parks, which is wonderful if it comes to looking after the environment. What that means for local people is that they are quite limited. So, I don't know, I'm sure you've seen a lot of kitchens in the shelters, in accommodations, and very often they use wood to just cook, to make fires. But being a part of the national park, the amount of wood they can collect is now very limited. They can't cut trees anymore as such. So those people are now searching for any branches, whatever is already on the ground, without trying to cut a tree for the wood. So I feel that Nepal definitely needs some help in that area. It needs education about the environment. They need something, to start planting in their children so they are eco-friendly. And they learn, and I'm sure they do. I'm sure there's a lot of programs from around the world, because if you could just grab Nepal as your little baby, it is a UNESCO little diamond. Everything there is so special and so important that we all need to, all of us, whether you're from United States or Italy or wherever, we all need to look after this little country because it's got so much to offer.
Yes, it does. Let's talk about the Himalayas, the big, big mountains. I mean, that was, as I've gotten back from the trip, when people ask me, how was your trip? It's really hard to answer that question in a couple of words. But I mean, the place that I always go to is just standing in these valleys and just looking all around me. I mean, 360 degrees and seeing these 20,000 plus foot mountains. They're just so big, and a picture just can't capture it. But I wonder if you could kind of talk a little bit about the Khumbu region, the Himalayas. What are some of the big peaks that people can expect? Obviously Mount Everest. That's, we go there for that, and that's the one we all are familiar with.
Oh, that's where I was on.
Yeah, but what are some of the others? Tell us a little bit about your perspective on the Himalayas.
So the Himalayas is the highest region of the mountains in the world, and it stretches all the way from Nepal, India, Bhutan, China. It's like a whole range of the mountains. Nepal, like you said, is a home to a mother to all, Everest. and that is the highest summit. But also Everest itself has got beautiful neighbors, and you've seen some of them on your way to Everest Base Camp, and I'm sure you've seen Lhotse. And there is a Manaslu somewhere in the background as well. There is Salu and Annapurna 1. Some of them belong completely to Nepal, and some of them are on the borders with China. All of them are over 8,000 meters high. Some of them, the interesting thing is that some of the lower ones of those big summits are actually more difficult to climb than those highest ones. Like Mr. Manaslu has got his little nickname, the killer. So you do have to take them with respect, and you never know what how things will go. But the sense of adventure, which you probably have felt staying in those valleys, the sense of just pushing those walls, just going beyond, is incredible once you're there, and you then realize how tiny we are with our little problems and with our little struggles, daily struggles, when we have those beautiful, massive mountains that we can go and visit. And yeah.
I mean, they almost have they almost carry almost like a personality. I mean, it's maybe me just projecting on them, but for example, I'm looking to my left at a picture of Amadablam, which was just an absolutely stunning mountain that is just kind of welcoming you into the valley as you walk up. I mean, it almost looks like a monk sitting with his arms outstretched, or maybe a king sitting with his arms outstretched, sort of welcoming you into the valley. And it was just there in our faces the whole, half of the trip, just kind of welcoming us up into the valley. Just so beautiful. Personally, for you, what first attracted you to say yes to going on your first trek with Badri?
That was crazy. That was absolutely crazy, Scott. At the time I was living in the UK. I had a little daughter. At the time she was 4. And I had this phone call from my cousin in Poland who said, look, we're organizing this group of girls going to Langtang Valley in Himalayas. One of the girls can't make it. Would you like to replace her? And I just got a new job. I was nowhere near to afford it financially. I had a little daughter. I had to do. It was just so many things telling me, no, you can't. And I just heard my own voice going to the phone and going, yeah, absolutely. I can't miss this opportunity. And I made it happen, with a little help here and a little bit of logistics there. Off I went. And it was just the most beautiful present I made for myself from Olga to Olga. It has changed my life 130 degree. And I just came back as a completely different person. And I will always be grateful for that phone call. Sometimes that's all it takes. Someone who has got a space for you and is ready to take you to experience something incredible. Because I didn't even know what I'm saying yes to, apart from, okay, Himalaya sounds good. Yeah, I've always being born in Poland. I mean, mountains were always a big part of my life. I had them about 1 hour driving, obviously nowhere near as high as Himalayas. But they were a big part of me. the UK is flat as a pancake. So I've missed the mountains very, very much so. So that's why probably when I had this phone call, the only answer was, yeah, I'm coming. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to make it.
I love that. I mean, you listened to the voice that called you to adventure. And we talk about that a lot on the podcast. I mean, I love that. Hey everyone, it's Scott here. Did you know that the members of my real estate team, W Realty Group, are listening to their own voices that call to adventure by setting big goals? Some of those goals include planning trips to Bali and the Kingdom of Bhutan, buying investment homes, and running the Chicago Marathon. At W Realty Group, we support and encourage these big goals and want to help turn them into reality. We're currently looking to add new members to the team. If you know a great real estate agent in the Charlotte, North Carolina area that would benefit from being part of our team, please send a text, an email, or give me a call. And know that when you support W Realty Group, you're also supporting this podcast. Thanks for listening. For people listening, I mentioned in the introduction, there's struggle, there's discomfort. It's not an easy, relaxing vacation. Why should people want to visit Nepal and the Himalayas?
Because of discovering yourself again, just discovering how strong we really are. Going on any trek in Nepal gives you this amazing opportunity to be with yourself. All you have to do, However uncomfortable it may be, all you need to do is to put one foot in front of the other until you reach the moment when you can rest. And that time, that space give you this incredible opportunity to be with your own emotions, face them, observe them, be with yourself, listen to your heart, listen to who you are, and then watch yourself evolving day after day, getting stronger, getting more adjusted to those surroundings, more in peace with yourself, This, like you said, the surroundings, everything around you tells you, look, you welcome, you unique, you amazing. Start believing in yourself. We're here to show you how amazing person there is somewhere inside you. Get it out, say hello to it. Be that person. And that is priceless.
I love it. So you talked about when you went, you came home a totally different person. And I'm just curious, what kind of changes can people expect? Well, maybe what are some transformations that you've seen, or what can people expect in terms of that transformation?
So for me personally, it was, I think for the first time in my life, going to Langtang Valley and then getting stronger with every other trek I've accomplished, that I finally understood 100% that those little problems like, sore feet, or maybe not my favorite meals on a plate, or, sometimes my legs were tired, or I was out of breath, or I got sweaty. Maybe I didn't always had an opportunity to take a hot shower, and etc. The list is probably quite long, but because this list is so long, that allowed me to understand that this is really not important. But all those things mean nothing. It really isn't a problem, And it only, sadly, because I could go for those treks for months and months, but most of those treks are within 2 weeks, 16 days or so. And then you back to your civilization, you back to your beautiful bathroom, you back to your hot shower, you back to your meals you like. And when you come back home, you think, well, this is actually boring,
Yeah, I mean, it's so those little annoyances, it's so much easier to let go of them when you have that kind of experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter. We just caught up with those little, way of understanding or thoughts in our head. But if you have that time, because it's not happening, those changes, they don't happen overnight. You need that period of time to see yourself getting stronger and letting go of those little things. And then the whole trek turns into a massive transformational experience. Yeah. And I wish that to everybody. It's beautiful.
Well, it happened to us, and listeners are going to be able to find out a little bit more about that in a couple of future episodes that we're going to be doing here very soon. But Olga, can you tell us? So we specifically did an Everest base camp trek. Our itinerary was 16 days. The trek was about 12 days up to base camp and back. Travel Nepal Himalayas treks does a lot of other treks as well. What are some of the treks that Travel Nepal Himalayas treks does?
So we have some standard destinations like Langtang Valley. We've got the range really. So according to the group's ability, we've got something a little bit less demanding physically and some more challenging treks. So Langtang Valley, Annapurna Panoramic Trek, the Tsum Valley, which is near the Manaslu Circuit Trek, there would be treks recommended to those who are just not sure. They would like to have a taste of it. They don't want to be challenged too much physically. And they're there. We also do Slough Circuit. It's amazing trek within, in the middle of night, heading towards the highest top of the trek when you see the beautiful sunrise, and you start at night, and it's quite special. Now, a sanctuary, we've got Chitwan as well, because sometimes people just want to have a taste of Nepal. What we actually do very often when customers are contacting us, they tell us their time availability, what they can spend in Nepal, and what are their interests. Okay. And then we just try to tailor the best we possibly can to meet their needs. And according to what they tell us, we either take them to more challenging, like Everest Base Camp regions, or we do something a little bit quieter, a little bit easier so that they can enjoy rather than struggle. However, some people say, well, I'm not sure, but I want to be challenged. And we like that, because whoever approaches us is always safe. It's always, we would never do anything to put anybody in danger. This is not on agenda at all.
Yeah, that's great. Can you talk a little bit about the porters and how that works?
Yeah, my little local heroes.
Yes, they are.
They are. I mean, yeah. These are the souls and hearts of every trek of Nepal. These are those quiet, beautiful souls who are willing to help you every step of the way. So porters, for those who don't know, they are local people who are there to help clients to go comfortably with a very light luggage on the like little backpacks on the backs, and the boys are taking the heavier loads on the back and carry that to the next accommodation. And those boys are just so dedicated. They are so loyal. They are so welcoming. All you need to see is the little smile when they put those incredibly heavy for us backpacks, and they do it with a smile on the face, and they say namaste and jam jam, and off they go, and they are just there anytime you come to your next accommodation. I've got massive respect to every single porter I've met in my life. With many of them, we still friends, and we see each other on different treks, and that is like meeting your friend you haven't seen for a little while. It's always a massive hug, and again, they give me that sense of safety.
I just want to attest, they absolutely are the heroes of the trip. Everything that you said, I witnessed that personally and firsthand. They are the heroes of the trip. They are amazing. They're really strong, and they're not necessarily like big people that you might expect. They are just conditioned. They are strong, and I mean, huge smiles on their face, so much love, like care. Oh, they are absolutely the heroes of the trip. So Badri, Badri was a porter in the early part of his career. So he's kind of done the full gamut. I mean, 20 years of experience now. Let's talk about Badri just a little bit. The head of the whole ship here of Travel Nepal Himalayas treks. Badri, yeah, tell us about Badri.
So, like you said, Badri, I've been to his village where he is coming from Gorkha region in Fujel. Badri is a special person. Like you said, he went through every stage which was required from him before he became a licensed mountain guide. He has been trained by his older brother, Prem, and it was Prem who shared the knowledge with him and encouraged Badri to get his qualifications. His knowledge about mountain is just incredible. You can stay with him, you can stand with him at any point of any trek and look at the horizon, and he will tell you exactly what summits you can see in front of you or behind you, because he went through all the stages of the career. That's why he's got nothing but respect for anyone who works for him. He knows exactly what those boys are going through, how to motivate them, how to look after them. And his absolute priority is the safety and happiness of the clients. He always says, Didi, if the clients are happy, I'm happy. However, how much effort it will take out of him, that doesn't matter to him at all. He's there 100% for every person of the trek. When I speak to him, I mean, it was in 2018 when I took a group of British people to do the Annapurna panoramic trek. We had 3 children in that group as well, including my daughter and 2 other boys. Until today, he remembers every single name.
Wow.
And he keeps asking, how is he? How is Gary? How is Pippi doing? Are you still in touch with Penny? Is everything okay? It's amazing. You can tell that his heart is there for everyone who crosses his path.
Yeah, there is no doubt he has a huge heart, and he brings that heart on his trek with him. So much so, like at the end of the trek, we had a farewell dinner and his family joined us, and it was just so magical. And I'll just add a couple of things that you already said, but my experience with him was he's uber responsible. I mean, he knows that it's his responsibility to just take care of every detail. And, issues are gonna come up on a trek. And when they do, like, he's right on top of it. I think the second piece that plays into that, but like how connected he is, like he is well known in that region. I mean, when a problem came up, he's on his phone, like, and taking care of things.
Yeah.
And so, I definitely felt very safe around Badri. And he's just, as I said, I mean, I feel love in my heart for him as a brother now. And we talk on WhatsApp all the time. And he's just an incredible human being. And, I can't wait to go back and do another trek with him. It's just incredible group of people. So I can't say enough about Travel Nepal Himalayas treks. We had such an unbelievable trip. And again, more details to come on that here soon. But if people want to trek with Travel Nepal Himalayas treks, what's the best way for them to connect with Badri or find out more?
So we do have a little Facebook page called Travel Nepal Himalayas Trek. We also have a website, www.travelnepal.net. You can drop us an email on the info@travel-nepal.net. And just if any of the listeners at the moment is thinking, oh, maybe I could try, but I'm not sure, just contact us. We will talk about it. Tell us what's called you back, what would you like to do? And we are very open, like I said, to tailor trek and experience to the individual needs of our clients.
Yeah. And I'll add too, I think the website is great. It's got some really good resources, especially as it comes to like, what equipment am I going to need? And there's even a training plan on there. There's even some information about like, what do I need to prepare physically? And the thing is, like, most people aren't going to book. We did have somebody that booked last minute that joined us last minute, but most of the people that do this trek, they're planning this, 6 months to a year in advance. And so there's plenty of time for anybody to do a training plan and check in with their doctor and do all the things that you need to do to prepare for a trek. So I am so excited that we were able to do this little intro to Nepal and the Himalayas and to Travel Nepal Himalayas treks. And I'm super excited to take the next step here and share more specifics with listeners about our journey. So to those listening, please tune in to Inspire Campfire for the next couple of weeks to hear a little bit more about our journey. Olga, I just want to say thank you so much for spending some time with me today. For those listening, I hope you've been inspired as much as I have. I hope Olga's story has encouraged you to listen to the voice inside that calls you to adventure, because we want to hear your story next. If you have a story to tell or just need a nudge to create one, please send me an email. We'd also appreciate it if you'd help us spread the word by leaving a review and sharing or tagging Inspire Campfire in your social media. And until next time, I want to encourage you to get outside. Thanks for listening. Olga, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you very much, Scott. It was a pure pleasure. Thank you.
Namaste.